Steve, you hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Great.
All right. And let me,
Let me know, you guys, if I need to go by file or anything, I can go to it.
Okay. Try to keep an eye out.
yeah, okay. So, just go ahead and call the meeting to order. We'll note that we don't have a quorum just yet.
Okay, a call to the meeting to order at 5:46 p.m.
All right, roll call. Chair Martin Gilmore,
Here,
Reese Adams. Here. Casey Potash.
Here.
We have council member Chelsea Noonenkamp. Present. And at this point, we do not have a quorum. We're waiting for Kyle Conrad to arrive. Yes, we have Cassandra Mann with Fourth Dimension Raps. And from Swallow Hill Music, we have, is it
Aengus.
Aengus?
Yeah.
Aengus Finnan and Jessy Clark. And we have Englewood School Liaison, Emily Ancona. And staff, we have Director Christina Underhill, Library and Cultural Arts Manager Bethany Lafferty, Event Supervisor Tony Arnoldy, and Economic Development Manager Darren Hollingsworth with Community Development. Okay,
All right.
you're
Well,
good.
we can't approve the minutes because we don't have a quorum. So let's move on to our, and have Cassandra, you're up first for your presentation.
Awesome. All right. My name is Cassandra Mann. I own Fourth Dimension Wraps and Graphics. We're a new business on South Broadway. I'm here to discuss a mural that we're really excited about, and we need some help with some funding. We're a new business. We opened up in September 2022, and we joined the chamber right away and met some really great people. I also participated in Elevate Englewood. And I came home after the second session and told my husband, we will forever do business in Englewood. It was a really, really good experience. So kind of a little bit about me. We are located at South Broadway and East Floyd. So we're catty cornered from the Whiskey Biscuit and the Gothic Theater. And we have a pretty large wall on the east facing side of our building.
Sorry.
No problem. So that building can be seen from about 2.5 blocks away if you're headed west on South Broadway. And we want to, the area that we're in has had not a lot of love in the building that we're in. So the building we're in with the Conoco, we've come in and done a lot of changes. But we would love to use that wall to do kind of an ode to historic South Broadway automotive and customizations. So we kind of were thinking like an evolution of muscle cars. So different types of muscle cars, starting from some in the 1940s to now. And then across the street from us, the Whiskey Biscuit was the first dealership on South Broadway and one of the biggest ones in the Western region. And so we would love to do something for the Majestic too on the mural. Kind of my two main points. Let's go on here. I told you where we're at. It's a really large wall. So we're hoping to focus on just like 30 feet by 10 feet to do the mural. We have volunteers that we've already lined up, the local businesses, like Royal Automotive, which it faces, are all on board and really excited and willing to volunteer their time. The main thing is that we want to get an artist that knows what the heck's going on, because we wrap cars, not walls, sometimes walls, but we don't paint them for sure. So we have been speaking with a couple local artists that we would love to get some of their artwork out into the community. Rooted 303 has They do a bunch of service projects. They've been interested in helping us with it. Our business has a large foundation in recovery as well. My husband and I have both been sober for 7 and 8 years. So we'd love to get some of the recovery community involved too. As far as timeline, we'd love to get something done by this summer. We have a couple car shows that are scheduled in our little lot. We already have RSVPs from, Colorado Springs to Pueblo that are coming for the show. So it's something that we would like to do for the people in Englewood, but also to bring people to Englewood so they can see how cool South Broadway is. So that's all that I have. Right now, our industry is like Black Friday every day for like the next couple months. So I don't have much more than that, but we definitely appreciate the opportunity to be here today.
Do you want me, go through any of the slides? What I'll do is, upload it onto the website for the Cultural Arts Commission, and then people can go in and also view it that way.
Yeah, great. Okay. Thank you.
And for funding, what are you looking for? What's your?
So, we have a large campus. It is 30 feet by 15 feet. So we could spend, we could go as big or as small, but we definitely want to do something to whatever is appropriate. I don't really know. This is kind of on a limb here.
Have you talked to any of the artists to get their thoughts on cost?
Yeah, so thankfully, the artist that we had talked to, he does this for a living, and he is willing to, he's a friend from sobriety of ours, and he is willing to volunteer a lot of his energy and time. So it's kind of hard to say budget-wise, because I know that this project could cost $25,000. And it's more so we just kind of want to fit within a budget. So how large it is, we can go pretty big, or we can go small depending on whatever.
Cool. Well, for us, would need a specific number of what you were asking for, what you wanted to use it for. There are things that we can do we've done in the past, like help pay for supplies or stuff like that, depending on the amount, of course, we're going to give a budget. So if you think of a specific amount that you'd like to ask for, and there are other organizations in the city also that might be able to help too.
Okay, great. Are there any other city grants available for beautification?
Yes, there is. But we have some funding and wayfinding placemaking as well we can possibly tap into. So we need to know what the number is.
Okay.
We can possibly do a sponsorship or grant or anything like that. So
Great.
yeah, once you figure out more, feel free to reach back out.
Okay.
We'll go from there.
Great.
Do you all own the building?
No, there is a sweet man named Major that owns the building. He owns the Conoco, the auto brokers, service department, the entire building. And it's just letting us have our reign with it. When we came in, it was super sketchy. So we've had a lot of things done on it, and he loves having us there, and he's totally on board. Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks, Cassandra. Appreciate it. Any other questions for her?
I may just add, if we use city funding, whether it be through the CIC or the city, we probably just need a letter saying he's okay with.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
On there. Small details.
Yes, no, absolutely. And he'll probably say, "Can you write it for me?"
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks. All right. Swallow Hill is here.
Hi, folks. My name is Aengus Finnan. I'm the president and CEO of Swallow Hill Music. And this is Jessy Clark, our chief operating officer. I'll start off by saying we're not here to ask for money, in part because we're not in Englewood. Our property is on Yale. So the Yale, as you know, divides Denver County from Englewood. Our parking lot is in Englewood. But our main property is on the other side. So really, we're here to share a bit about what the organization is for anyone who doesn't know, and for those of you who do know, to sort of probably reveal some things that you didn't know about it, and to just give you a sense of where we're at as an organization, and in terms of looking at the future of our property and programs and footprint here in Denver. So I've circulated some flyers for everyone. So this is just an overview of the organization at large. But in short, it is the second largest organization of its kind in North America, based here in Denver. It is modeled on the Old Town School of Folk in Chicago, which is the largest of its kind in North America, and houses a school, a music school, music outreach, and performances. And I'll get into some of the details, but it's unique in that way. There are many music schools, there are many programs that do outreach in various communities. There are many venues and producers of shows, but as a nonprofit focused on culturally significant, and oftentimes culturally significant means it's not commercially positioned in terms of mainstream major performances, but there's still cultural significance to it. So really thinking about it in terms of that folk music in the broadest sense of all the music of the people, all people are represented. The music school portion of Swallow Hill, which has been in existence for 44 years now, provides classes for children, for adults, individual instruction, group classes, summer camps currently on the go. And it's everything, open 7 days a week. It's everything from private vocal lessons to group classes for piano, didgeridoo, djembe, house of rock for teenage rock bands, and really provides a way for folks to come in at any age and stage and learn an instrument. For some, it's just a personal passion to learn an instrument or the joy of singing and performing. For others, it becomes a pathway to a career in music professionally, as a performer, as a teacher. And it's complemented, the school is complemented with jam sessions most afternoons in the main portion of the property. So we're located in a decommissioned church, a secondary building that's joined with a false third building, and then a fourth building at the back that houses all of the administration and teachers and rehearsal spaces. Complementing the school is the community outreach program. So that's not focused on activities inside our property, but providing, for example, through the early childhood education program called Little Swallows, providing qualified curriculum-based music teachers to go out into schools that don't have music programs or music teachers, and in doing so are able to provide services throughout the greater Denver metro. That is complemented by music therapy programs, particularly working with our aging population and folks with developmental and mental disabilities. And then finally, our concert program. So on our property, we have 3 different venues, a 300-seat venue, a 100-seat venue, and about a 50 to 60-seat cafe and bar. In addition to that, we also produce all of the summer concerts at the Botanic Gardens, the concerts at 4 Mile Historic Park, at the Butterfly Pavilion, and at the Clifford Stills Museum. And then we have different boutique partnerships and do some booking for other organizations. And our latest partnership will be with the Clayton Early Learning Center to provide both music education program in their school setting, and then curate the lineup for their first blues festival community event. So that sort of gives you a sense of the scope and scale of what we do. We are also a Tier 2 SCFD funded organization. We're operating with about a $5 million budget. That's down from 6 million prior to the pandemic. The pandemic shook our little snow globe pretty hard, as it did most venues and organizations of our kind nationwide. But we're rebuilding in terms of bringing back on our staff, seeing our audiences return to pre-pandemic numbers, and having our classes start to fill out again. So it's that's sort of the lay of the land in terms of who we are. As I mentioned, we have a parking lot across the street in Englewood. So lots of everyone who comes in is parking there, and well, in the various streets around the building, whether they're coming to a concert or classes. Why we wanted to check in with you and let you know what we do is that we're also in the process of conducting or developing our next strategic plan, and really starting to look at we've had a great 44-year run. We have a great reputation. I'm not from here. I moved here in October. I'm from just outside of Toronto, Ontario. As a touring musician 20 years ago, I knew that if you were coming to Denver, the place you wanted to play was Swallow Hill. So its reputation is beyond national, and in many ways, it's the best kept secret here. If you know about Swallow Hill, everyone sort of knows and loves what it is, but there are lots of folks here who don't know what it is. But it is part of a national network and hub for full-time professional export-ready touring artists. What we are doing right now is looking at the near future in that 3 to 5 year strategic planning way, but also preparing to conduct a feasibility study. Just prior to the pandemic, we had launched a capital fundraising campaign to do a full renovation of the property that we're in, to the tune of about $3 million. And all of the architectural renderings are prepared. Contract was in place with the construction company. You know, as one example, the building is not accessible. So taking out a staircase, if you see any new building, the first thing that goes up is the elevator shaft, and then they build it around. They would be reverse engineering that for us to like pull out a staircase and drop in an elevator. So you can imagine that's just one element of what we were looking at doing. That 3 million has ballooned past, post pandemic to 4 to 5 million to do a proper fix of the building. We're maintaining it and doing things and putting in a wheelchair lift inside, replacing all of the windows, major repairs that are just part of the annual maintenance of it. But it begs the question for us at this stage, is that the right thing to do? To put $4 to $5 million into 3 old buildings that are cobbled together with 3 HVAC systems, different boilers, different electrical grids, or should we be looking at other options, including raising 35 to 40 million and building in the parking lot across the street and opening a state-of-the-art Swallow Hill Cultural Center? That's, it's a much higher price tag. There are different folks who would come on board and different partners investing in building something for the future. What we would be doing on Yale would really be repairing and renovating and sprucing up 3 old buildings that are still going to need a lot of work in years to come. So thinking 20 years out, do we want to still be fixing something we've dropped a lot of money into, or do we want to be sitting inside something that was designed state of the art to take all of the programs and legacy of what we are and what we do and position it for the future? Obviously, we have students, teachers, staff, and audience members who already come from Englewood, so there's a relationship to our building and our programs. But even in thinking about our parking lot, then it begs the question, if we're moving into Englewood, is that the best place? It's our property. And obviously all of the processes that will be involved in terms of getting permission to build, but part of our feasibility study will be to also look at all options, including, is there something that we could be doing with the city of Englewood to look at positioning what we're about to invest into our building or into a new build, and position that in collaboration in a way that really fills a gap and sort of plants a cultural center somewhere in a more of, the hub of the city that would have more street level service to the community and be more integrated into sort of the development of not just the identity of the city, but the flow and urban design of the future of the city. Naturally, we'll be looking at all sorts of other options as well, but it is something that, as we think of servicing, increasingly diverse audiences and community members and student body, and thinking of the relationships that we have already in this area, that we wanted to bring forward so that you're aware that we're in the dreaming stage, but with some urgency to it in terms of the time that's involved in both fundraising, but also doing the feasibility studies and committing the resources to take that next step for our future. Yeah, so that's the big picture of who we are and why we're here in an introductory way. Jessy, are there any things that I haven't covered that you want to?
I don't think so. I was here hanging out. That's great. I would like to mention though, if you haven't been to our building before, like right now is the best time because it's camp time. So like the kids are all rocking out. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun to hear the noise back in the building, always in the summer. Thanks for having us.
Are we the first people to know this, or have you explored this with other city folks already?
We have not.
Okay. Oh,
Starting here.
breaking news.
So you happen to have the right person in
Uh-huh.
the room in many ways.
Yeah, so just to be clear, we have not made a commitment in any area.
No.
We haven't
Yeah.
even started the feasibility study,
Yeah.
but that feasibility study is really to look at all options. Like what does the bill look like on property? What if we do an enhanced version of what we had planned with our own property? What if we build where we have? Is there a piece of property sitting, waiting to be developed by the city with a dream to have a cultural center and to have an organization with a legacy, with the resources to be able to come in and do something? We also have to look at, is building and owning our own building the right move? Is there somewhere we could be a major partner and be installed, or have a long-term lease that's negotiated in a very collaborative way that dovetails the needs and interests of a city with what we bring to the table?
What is the time frame on a feasibility study like that?
I mean, reasonably, you're probably talking 12 to 18 months.
Yeah.
Probably by the time we, get things rolling. And I think too, for those of you who are more familiar with us, pre-COVID, we had multiple locations. We had satellites in Lowry, and we had another one in the Highlands, and we were getting ready to partner up in Westminster with another location at the light rail station up in Westminster, just in Adams County. All of those things folded in. Of course, with COVID, we closed everything down. We didn't own any of those spaces. So, trying to think about too, how do we serve the 7-county community the best way that we possibly can, and what does that location look like? We're in such a funny spot. I always joke because I'm like, well, I don't know. They're like, how do you deal with your property? I'm like, which one? Because it just depends on which side of the line. But I think, thinking about that, also that possibility of just being able to be present in other locations as opposed to not necessarily like a formalized location. So there are lots of pieces to that, but it's exciting because it was great to start to think about the expansion of Swallow Hill to other communities, because one of our challenges is like most places, like where we are located, everybody's like, so far south Denver, right? And we draw from like a really a 7 to 8 mile radius of the building. So also being cognizant of the fact that our base is right around where we are.
Yeah.
So the thought of moving too far away is a little bit
Right.
daunting, because you have to rebuild your whole base.
Yeah, right.
So,
How can the city be of assistance in helping you take the next steps that you do? And Christina and Debbie Adet for inviting the city economic development to this discussion tonight. I'm here for an entirely different matter, but I'm led up to be here. Swallow has such a great reputation in the market and community, and is very much part of the arts infrastructure that already exists in the region. And if there's a role that we can play on the strategic planning side, we'd be very happy to be involved in that. And you've got the right players by announcing this news tonight in front of Cultural Arts Commission. This is very exciting. So please count us in however the city could be of assistance in making that decision, from site selection all the way to look at a specific site with you if it happens to be the parking lot, and imagining some looking at development review for that to make sure that process goes smoothly and easily.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Definitely keep you posted as things are progressing. We've got a lot of work to do before we really begin that, but it's nice to be able to talk a little bit about it because it's exciting. Another new spot. We've been in that building since '98 and it's charming, as we like to say, which also means challenging. So I'm very excited about the prospect of it.
I'll just add from the city council perspective, obviously we'd love to be partners with you and as you're exploring, considering lots of different sites and avenues, I'm sure as you should. And Darren's really the best point of contact, but to the extent that we can continue to be helpful, we would love to be. And to Darren's horn for him, like our economic development plan just won a statewide award, and we really are proud of the creative and arts culture that we have in Englewood, and really making us a creative kind of hub for the community. This group is the right people to be talking about because we've been having conversations around what does it look like to be known as a creative community. It's a big part of how we already, I think, see ourselves. And so to the extent that we can be helpful, please engage us.
Thank you so much. Congratulations, by the way.
That's great. Yeah. And look forward to working with you all in the future. I will definitely reach out offline. And breaking news, how cool is that?
Right?
How cool is that?
And I think, when we get to the feasibility portion of it, then it would be, literally meeting to talk about, like, are there properties that the city wants to develop that you're waiting for something like this to come along? Or are there, one of the things that are involved and obviously the feasibility study will have folks far more experienced in the development of new properties than Jessy and I, in terms of being able to look at that parking lot property and ask all of the appropriate questions and sketch out what that would look like in broad strokes, cost wise and process wise. But we really want to approach it with a wide open view of what all the potential scenarios might be.
This is such a great time to bring this idea forward when it's still very moldable, very fluid, and so that the community can be aware of it, and also bring it forward if there's any discussion on the site itself, if that happens to be the site or others. So absolutely, I'll follow up offline. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
And once you go to Swallow Hill, once you know, you know.
Thanks, Aengus. Cheers.
And you guys are welcome to take off or stay in the meeting whenever you guys prefer. So.
We'll leave you to it.
And to me, and go
You
nuts.
guys feel like you're.
Should we leave these? I mean,
Yeah,
for-
yeah,
for-
Yeah,
you can leave
that would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us. Happy midweek, right?
What an exciting project and exciting opportunities.
Mhm.
And if you were the church still, they'd be having the same exact conversation.
Great. Thanks, folks.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
File yet. Should we do the approval of the minutes?
We do have a quorum now. No, Leah, you're good. So Leah arrived at 5:50. So we have a quorum now.
Sorry, Darren. I get a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Sorry. Second.
All right. Thank you, Stacy and Leah.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Thanks, Darren.
Thank you. Wow, I was so happy to have that opportunity to Swallow Hill, so thank you. That was great news and fun from an economic development perspective. They're a great amenity in our area. We should work very hard to help them stay in the area and blossom in our community. Well, I'm here tonight to talk about three things, but around Made in Englewood. So we work very closely as a team and with Councilmember Camp on the Made in Englewood and the DDA, Downtown Development Authority, and the Chamber of Commerce on this. I don't normally wear t-shirts to city and functions. It's a little weird, but this whole Made in Englewood logo, which has been launched, and there's some programs that back this up that I was going to talk about a little bit tonight. One of those programs is a little grant to support our local makers, artists, manufacturers, whether they make beer, art, distilled spirits, manufacturers. We've got a lot of unique businesses in our community, and we've got a little grant to help businesses attend a trade show. And that little grant. Hello, how you doing?
And Kyle just arrived.
And she wanted T-ball.
Now cheer. Sorry, Darren.
There was a startup T-ball tonight, so I do apologize.
Kyle, I'm Darren, and I work in community development. And
Kyle's the vice chair.
oh, nice to see you. So our little grant is just launched, so we're inviting folks to participate in our Made in Englewood grant for trade show assistance. And it's meant to help get the word out about local makers out into the broader marketplace. So the door is really open to any business that has a viable business license within the city of Englewood. I know Tony's talking about some sales tax licenses. If the business has a viable city of Englewood business license and they're a going concern, they're an eligible applicant to apply for this. So, and we're imagining any type of made in Englewood, fully made in Englewood products. So I'm going to reach out directly to some folks. The framing, a couple of framing businesses. We've got a distiller. We've got a couple of breweries. We've got some other local manufacturers that have some products that they make. And if they've got a trade show that they go to or an event where they're going to be selling these products, that's exactly what this grant is intended to do. Up to $500. Again, all they have to have is be in good standing with the city of Englewood and have a license, sales tax license, to show that they're in good standing with the city. We just approached directly the little one of our manufacturers that makes t-shirts. She makes tie-dye t-shirts. And a quick little aside, she was wanting to know more about the grant, and she said she's doing some local festivals here, but she couldn't afford to go to the mountains to do some of the larger festivals, which would actually really help her top line sales to be able to expose her business in the mountains, which there'd be a good clientele there for her product. So I said, that's exactly what this program is intended to do, is to help you get out and support your business in new trade areas like that. So that's our Made in Englewood grant. I don't know if you all received that little email that we sent out. It was back on May 17th, but I'll send it to Debbie. And Debbie, if you don't mind, please forwarding this out to the commission. If you or your neighbors or your constituents, your artist constituents or local makers would be interested in applying for this grant, it's easy. Just having a valid business license, being in good standing with the city, and then having a business expense associated with going to an event. That's our Made in Englewood grant. Any questions about this grant?
No, that's cool.
You know, any online?
I have a question.
Yes. Well, Tony, sorry, I thought you were. Yes.
You're okay.
So if the business is in Englewood or the owner is in Englewood, does it matter if which one, as long as one of them is in Englewood?
It needs to be an Englewood licensed business.
Okay.
So that's a good distinction, Tony. Thank you. an Englewood license. So this is about supporting our Englewood business community. And I'm imagining, who knows what kinds of makers could go beyond what we had on our imagined list, from manufacturers to artists and other makers, but products that are made in Englewood. I was going to shift gears to something that we're going to launch in the future, which is a grant to help promote this brand and this brand, the Made in Englewood brand. And it's a merchandise grant, and that'll be launching in July. And it's $500. We'll do 10 of these, and we're going to help merchants be able to apply for a grant to pay for $500 worth of merchandise that they can then sell in their shops. I think there's a nonprofit that wants to apply and use it as a fundraiser for their operation. But we're imagining, if it's a local, the local brewery that's participating in the program could certainly apply, or any retailer could apply where these products would be sold. This is not the exact one, but using this logo. And we're working with local vendors so that it's made in Englewood, made in Englewood. So that's kind of exciting. We would like to forward this to the group as well through Debbie when that time comes, so that merchants and others that would be selling these products can apply for that. But the intent there is really to make it simple. If they want to sell cups and mugs or hats or whatever those items might be, they would acquire them and apply for a grant to cover the costs of that from their supplier. And then they would then get that brand out in the community, become very, create some brand awareness for this unique site. Again, the DDA, the Downtown Development Authority, and the Chamber of Commerce are very much behind this initiative. So we're hoping this gets into the community and just merchants begin to grab hold of this logo and use it for their purposes. I know there's another piece of merchandise floating around from a local Englewood retailer right now, and they have been using that logo. And our communications team has pushed this out as well for folks to sign up and be part of the Made in Englewood brand. And I don't know numbers off the cuff, but it seemed to have a pretty solid 20 entrepreneurs signed up for this, as I recall. I'm not great with numbers, but something of that magnitude, which shows a pretty solid little demand. Mm-hmm. Any questions? It's not going to launch until July. Questions about that?
Darren, can business owners or makers use the brand obviously for merchandise, but if they want to use it on their packaging or their label, or, is there any specificity around how people can use it or how we're encouraging its use?
So it hasn't launched yet, so it's still in that formative phase. We were imagining that would be used for products to be sold. They can certainly use this as not a copyrighted logo, so they could use this on their, their stamps or their website and things of that nature. So yes, I would think there would be some openness to anything to get this brand out there, and that awareness out there, and that sense of community spirit and pride around our local makers in the city. I've got a running list of some folks I'm going to reach out to directly when that time comes, but I hope that you all, when we launch, Debbie will get that and you can spread that out to the commission, excuse me. Any other questions about this program? And I've got one final piece to mention if I could after this. So finally, I love, this is the side of the economic development. So our little grants help the merchants with resources. Creating better artists as entrepreneurs really lights me up for a number of reasons. We've partnered with the commission in the past to do some events at the Black Cube pre-pandemic. And the idea there is to help artists hone their small business skills, their entrepreneurial skills. And I wanted just to remind the commission of that. There may be a new member or two on the commission since then, but we have a real solid partnership with the Small Business Development Center, and they help our small businesses become better entrepreneurs by learning some best practices, whether it's writing a business plan, maintaining a business plan. I was going to reach out to Cassandra after this. Her business is growing, and she may be experiencing some business growing pains. And the SBDC, Small Business Development Center, they have consulting and very inexpensive training classes that they offer for small businesses. So I'm going to leave these on the table. I don't know that I'll stay on for the budget discussion.
Yeah.
But they have some really good resources to support our entrepreneurs, whether you're an artist or otherwise, but especially artists. I think, and the executive director here at this SBDC, she's a former, she had a jewelry making business, and as well as several other enterprises. All of the consultants that they use are small business owners or have been small business owners. So it's a great resource for local artists to hone the business side of their side of the brain. Is that left brain, right brain? The business side of their creative enterprise. Any questions about the Small Business Development Center and the type of resources that they offer? They do a really good job.
Where are they located?
So we've got a few, thank you for that question. So they're actually out of Aurora. We partner with them to do services in Englewood, and we just launched, thank you. We just launched every, the first and third Thursday afternoon, we're doing in-person field office. They have a field office here for in-person consulting here at Englewood Civic Center. So right across the hall. So if an entrepreneur wants to schedule time with one of the small business consultants to talk about their business or introduce an idea and bat that around for free, they can sign up with this information here. So excellent. So we have a field office here,
Great.
first and third Thursday.
Darren, is the opportunity mostly to make artists aware of the grants and the trainings, or is there also opportunity to bring them in for a bespoke event?
We have not created an event yet. There may be an opportunity where we can do that in concert with others. But so our little grants, the grant that I mentioned about the Makers Made in Englewood grant, or the trade show, is to it's not necessarily to compete with some of the Englewood events, because I think Tony has some additional resources to help some of our local entrepreneurs. It's to expose Englewood made products outside of Englewood. So our little t-shirt company that wants to go up in the mountains, I thought, man, that's just a great idea. She's going to be, that's exactly what this program is intended to do. Did that address the question?
And I'm sorry, it's for the training piece for this BDC.
Oh, sorry.
So this group oftentimes will bring artists together for meet and greets or some kind of, community events. Would this be the kind of thing where someone could come do some training collectively, or is it more the grant for them to go do a class?
That's a great question. So we could make something special if we want to have a group of artists and have a specialized workshop around artists as entrepreneurs and there's some key questions that artists will have. So it can be both. If someone wanted to have one-on-one consulting, that free one-on-one consulting for an hour, they can take advantage of that. Or if we want to do a one-off and have an event, I'd love to collaborate on that. I'm raising my hand to say, let's do something in the future together to do that level of collaboration and bring a bunch of artists together to do some small business training. I'm happy to do that. I wouldn't lead the training necessarily in terms of the content. The SBDC, they're the subject matter experts, but we could certainly pull together something like that. That'd be fun.
Yep.
We're imagining along these same lines. Have you heard of Continuum Artist Studios up on the hill? So we've seen those. So we were working with the owner, one of the owners of it's kind of like a co-working space for artists. That's right. Mm-hmm. So to be able to have some workshops up there for artists that are part of the Continuum through the SBDC, because they're going to have as many as 100 artists up there. I think they have 30 now, and they're going to have as many as 100.
It's a huge space.
Yeah.
Big space.
We went and toured it.
It's really cool.
It's really cool.
So that's an excellent item. So exposing some of our small business resources, we could do it on a one-on-one or in a group setting. Easy. Love to open that door if that happens and collaborate on any of that.
When's that group?
Well,
Okay.
kind of.
If it's a mixer, if it's a one-time 40, one-time session, or if it's a series, we're looking at a small business startup workshop that might be a three event series. I'm one click away on the city's website if someone needs my contact information, but I'll leave a couple of cards as well. Any additional questions? Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darren.
Honored to be here with Swallow Hill. That was fun. Exciting budget discussion. Mostly I just wanted to update the budget because of the stuff that we had voted on meetings ago. And kind of what we had assumed we would get based on what we received in the past from the Englewood 1% for the arts. We had budgeted $11,000 this year, though we only got $8,630. So we still have enough to cover the things that we have voted on, which is good. But projected, if I did this right, projected we were expecting $89,370. Now in our accounts now we have $87,000.94. From that 87,000, 25,000 we have set aside for art maintenance as our art maintenance reserve. And then our proposed projects that we have voted on to do are the Hamden Median Art, which was voted on 35,000. The mural and mason jars funding for the mural on the back side of the building, the Felt building. We voted for $5,000. Summer markets music, we voted for $2,000 and it's set aside for that. And then the artist market grants, we voted to spend $1,000 on that. So the projected fund balance will be $19,094 after all of that stuff is paid for. Does that make sense to everybody? Mm-hmm. Since we haven't actually spent any of that money, I set it in what we actually have as of now, and we'll update it throughout the years.
Well, and that 35,000 for the median art is actually split with the city too, so.
Okay.
That'll
so
be.
Okay, so we can reorganize this as we go, but with all that, and I know there's going to be some changes because the artist market grants, we might shift it around. I don't think the summer music is going to cost quite as much as we had proposed, so that stuff might change with those. But I just wanted to have that. This budget is in the Google Drive, the CAC Google Drive, so everybody can access it. They will access it and see it. I thought I would just keep it there. And I guess down here at the bottom, I can't remember if I asked, do we have money for the?
We have $300.
$300, okay, I see.
For incidental.
Okay.
Type expenses.
Cool, and the CCI conference I saw already happened, that happened this last week, so. I know that money, I attended a conference with some of that money was spent. So I'm not sure if there are conferences that we should be sending folks from the commission to, but I guess if you find something that has to do with probably art, wayfinding, placemaking, those kinds of things, it'd probably be worth sending somebody to one of those to get a good idea of what's going on in that world.
Can you back up for just a second?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what the mural and mason jars funding, like what is that again?
That's the event that Lindsay from the chamber came in.
You might have been gone that night. We voted to Felt wants to put a mural on the side of their building over there by King Supers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember reading it now. Sorry. Okay.
If anybody notices any changes, let me know. Change it. This is just gives us a start. Cool. Anything else on that? Great. Moving on to median art judging. So I guess we're to the point we need to decide on what we're doing. Is that right? I think all the pieces were pretty much been approved by Public Works except they had it seemed like they had a hesitation about one of them, but I don't remember which one.
They had said whatever the commission does decide to go with, there could be one or two pieces they would just want to measure, make sure that it fits in the median okay, where like a mirror or something like that on a truck would not hit it. They did not seem real concerned about it. They just said it's just something that, depending on the piece.
So how should we select this? Should we call for a regular vote or? Oh, you had the numbers.
Well, so I had the numbers from when you guys had narrowed down to your top 6. These are in order of, so Rainbow Point was 1. And let's see,
So Rainbow Point received the most votes.
right,
And then this last one was the least.
correct, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I did not do that. So, however, if, I mean, we could go, I mean, you know, each member, and you state what your, like, top choice would be. Or you guys determine how you would like to proceed.
Go around. Okay. Go around. Sounds good. If you want to start.
No.
I mean, I will say for me, Rainbow Point is my favorite, and then it follows by the Cloud and Orange. I forget the name.
I agree, and considering our budget, I would be in favor of funding all 3 pieces with the top 3 pieces. If the city would be agreeable to that.
Yeah, well, but the trapeze is the third piece. It's $15,000,
Right, but for the budget, we could in theory fund all 3 pieces for all 3 pads.
Those 3.
So I think that's probably a decision, like an addition that we might want to discuss.
Debbie and I were talking too, there might be additional costs. That's the price for the piece, but then depending on where it's coming from, there might be a transportation cost added in, plus installation as well.
Permit.
And the permit fee. So just keep that in mind as well.
I definitely like the first 2. The trapeze I'm less enthusiastic about, but I can be out.
I think for me, if we went with the first 2 pieces, the trapeze artist, although really fun, kind of feels different. If it's like median art, I don't know. The other 2, I feel like at least a little bit. Not that they have to be matchy. I don't want to sound like I'm.
Yeah.
I think the first 2 are gonna be easy to see from further away, right? Like how you see the grass on Yale from like 10 blocks away from up Broadway, you know? But man, I really like that trapeze one.
I love the trapeze, but I do love the color on both the triangle and the cloud. So I don't know. I love all 3 pieces. And think they would all be great. I would love to do all 3. I'm not sure if that's budgetarily going to work, but.
So the trapeze is coming from St. Paul, Minnesota.
And it's also the most expensive out of all the pieces.
It's not
No.
the trapeze.
Wasn't the trapeze like 25 or something?
It's
Yeah,
15.
but
15.
It's 15.
But-
Sorry.
These 2 rings with the.
The 2 rings were 20.
that's very strange because when these were submitted, They were all submitted as local.
Right, and so it's possible it's come back, I don't know, we'd have to reach out to the artist and just find out like
Because
where's
this
this
one's
located.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, in terms of shipping.
Right, right.
Yeah, so I wonder if that price is.
We'd have to reach out, we can reach out and find out
Okay.
what the situation is with the art. And then go from there. with
Well,
that piece.
At the very least, we can narrow it down. Does anybody want to keep on the list Eternity 2?
No, and the answers look too much like the ones downtown.
Okay.
To me.
And then this, the unfinished piece, which is the gray part of North Side. You wanna
When I see that, I'm like, what?
For me, I don't know how other people feel, but it's enough.
Is anybody opposed to eliminating any of those?
I have not had process.
All right, so we're looking at these first three. I think we need to figure out like the budgets for shipping and what we're actually looking at in order to do all three, right? But if we could we say yes on the 2 and find out about the third? If we'll vote on it, of course.
We might want to read the way that we wrote the call again, because I seem to remember it being like an all-in number, including the installation costs. So,
I think you're right.
That's what I thought we said too.
yeah, so like even though we'll check with the artist, but the call was an all-inclusive number, including the installation fees, not permits. I didn't, right, but,
Okay. Good. That's not the important.
yeah. Mhm.
I'm happy to reach out to the artist and get more information.
Mhm.
Any additional costs that are not included in that.
Yep.
Okay.
We can find out the timeline too, when they can install.
Yeah.
Once approved. Yeah.
We
So if
want-
they say it's not for 2 years, then we're like.
But so do we want to wait until we get that information? Or should we approve those pieces? All right. Then I'm going to make a motion to approve the purchase of Rainbow Point. I'll bet you can't read out.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Hi.
Hi.
All opposed? And passes.
Okay, did you say the purchase of Rainbow Point and the other one, or just?
Rainbow Point and the clouds.
Okay. That's what I thought you were doing, but I had only heard Rainbow. So I was
Yeah.
just-
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right, so we'll figure out. Anything else we need to discuss? All right. Then we can talk about the trapeze piece of this meeting.
I know. Exactly. And if the cost includes everything.
Yay. Artist meet and greets.
So we kind of tossed the idea around, which we haven't done yet, but we were thinking with Redline coming in, we'd really like to see if Redline would be interested in hosting a meet and greet for an artist sometime, probably in the fall or even winter, like depending on what their setup is. But we were thinking that would just be a really nice way to reconnect with artists again and kind of just do that connection, because we haven't really done a touch point this year with artists. Or not this year, but not in a while. And so I feel like it needs to happen. And I feel like the most exciting thing that we have coming is Redline. And so I just kind of wanted to see what you all think and if it's feasible, if that interests people.
I think that's great.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's kind of where we're headed. And then the other thing me and Martin have talked about is that we probably need to do a crash course on murals. So I've been kind of feeling that out. I did talk to a gal, Corinna, who is over in Aurora, who's done a lot of curated work and knows a lot about murals, and she's offered to maybe do some education for us, so that might be an option. I also need to reach out to Redline because I think they might be an option, but we just want a bigger in-depth look for murals than what we have right now. Like, I think we all have some information, but it would be nice to do even more, especially with the city looking to do so many murals, to kind of give that step-by-step breakdown of the process and to give a more transparent, like how much it can range in price, because I think a lot of times we think murals are cheap and they're not cheap. Like, it depends on what we're doing. And so I feel like if we had a little more training in it, we could be more useful for the fielding those questions.
Yeah.
So we had talked about that, if there's other members interested in also partaking in that education.
That would be good.
I think so. We've been getting a lot of inquiries about that.
And that's why I was kind of curious, like what she's been hearing from artists. Like, is it 5,000? Is it 25,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
to both, yeah, exactly.
Have you guys seen the mural going in, and they didn't come through us, obviously behind Burger King? There's a building back there past the vet place as you take the turn. You see them
Oh.
driving back and forth. I saw them out there painting it.
There's a gallery back there.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
maybe? It's kind of geometric shapes like mountains and stuff. It's really cool, but it's a big mural, and I'd be curious to know what they're painting for that, just so we get an idea of a new mural this year happening.
Well,
Dear, oh, sorry.
Well, and that's the other thing, like when I was talking to Corinna the other day, she's like, well, it depends on the artist, their rep. Are you paying, like, you're sometimes paying for an artist name, right?
Yeah.
Like, of who's coming in. And so it's just interesting things to think about, because it's like that one could be lower price if it's a new artist coming onto the mural scene, or it could be a famous artist who's a mural artist who's well known and people want them, you know, so it's been kind of interesting to think about the different angles of why that cost can vary so much.
Darren is getting the artist name for that mural.
Oh, he is for this
Yeah.
one? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
he's going to share that information.
It's not a bad mural, it's cool.
Mhm.
But yeah, I talked to one for the skate park. I was at a arts fair and I said, do you do murals? He goes, yeah. And his art was really cool. And I go, what would a mural on this park be? And he goes, 25,000. I go,
Yeah.
Can we think about that a little more?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not cheap and it does depend. I mean, this guy's fairly well known, really cool art, but I could probably get a group of kids to do it for $10 each too, you know, so it kind of depends on what we want, but I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and just kind of being able to explain, because it's like, you know, when we have those conversations, I'm like, well, yeah, if the kids are coming out and doing geo shapes, not super expensive versus a really intricate design, you know? And I think it depends on what the business wants, what they're looking for, and both can be fun. It's not to say I think there's a right way, but I just want to be able to front load more clear guidelines for people.
Is there also like a citywide catalog of all of the murals and artists? Like that would be such an
The
interesting.
Chambers has kind of
Yeah,
a map, but I don't.
I have pictures of the 6 of them from last year's mural
I'm-
from Macy Church.
Yeah.
Just they're popping up new ones.
Yeah, so our goal, Debbie's been working with our GIS team and communications to identify that, because we need to know too, like, what is the city paid for? What is cultural arts paid for? What is private? So like down the road, 10 years down the road, none of us are at the table and they come in and say, hey, the city bought this mural years ago. You guys need to fix it. It's like, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
So we're doing the inventory. It's taking a while, but yeah, that's the goal, is to kind of identify all the art in Englewood, who owns it, the cost of it, if we paid for it, what the deal was.
And if you guys if you see a mural or something like that, or art somewhere, take a picture and send it to me with just kind of where it's located. So we can just kind of start keeping an inventory.
Because even private entities have to ask for permission, right? If
It's not a have to, it's a request at this point, because if it's their building and their money, it'd be nice to know for this inventory purpose. But as we hear about them, I'm like, yes, come to the Cultural Arts Commission and just present what you're doing so we know what's up in our city, what's happening. And then we can identify it as not city owned down the road, or city owned.
Right.
Murals and any type of art, so. Oh, thanks.
Is there any, like, are there any code requirements that have to be, like,
don't think it's well defined. I mean,
too,
it can't be
yeah.
inappropriate. It can't necessarily be advertising companies per se, unless it's the company that's putting it on their
Yeah.
wall.
Budweiser.
Right.
Yeah, otherwise, yeah.
Yeah.
But I see it all the time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That's what we gotta hone in on.
and I
It's
think
so weird, because what is that building? It's not a bar, is it?
No.
in some ways, I
like a
think
property
it's like
management.
intentional that the code hasn't been specific because it does allow for more just kind of like
Mhm.
grassroots,
Uh-huh.
which I think in some ways feels very Englewood. But as someone who's spent a lot of time in the code recently, I don't think there's anything.
I don't think so.
The closest thing it would come to is like the code around signage, I guess, probably.
Probably.
But
I mean, if it's a picture, we don't want inappropriate pictures being painted on walls. I don't see that happening, but you never know.
Well, right.
Paint a stop sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Mhm.
That's it for artist meet and greets for now. We'll maybe talk about more and see what kind of events we can think of.
Yeah.
Let's see, and last, I have updates on Swedish horses. Debbie, I sent you that stuff after.
Yeah, I did.
We had a art restorer who lives here in Englewood, who lives on my street. He's my neighbor. And he does art restoration for a living, and he went and looked at the Swedish horses. And he looked at the one in Christina's office, and then we went over to the shop to look at them. In terms of building a base for them, and then I had him send us an estimate for what the bases would be, and then I also had him look at some of them need repair. So yeah, there they are. And so he kind of broke it down at the materials and what he thinks it would take. He thinks he's looking at a pedestal that, if you've seen the bear that's down here, that pedestal is small. It kind of looks like a step. Like, so he suggested making one a little bit taller that would keep people from standing on it. These would be displayed indoors somewhere, and he would build bases for them and make them. So we have 4 horses that need it. So.
You
Oh, is
say
this the
which
repair?
document?
Oh, sorry.
So Martin, are these movable or are they permanent? I guess.
They would be movable.
So so they could move with different buildings, but they would remain inside, but they would go.
I think I sent you the wrong. I'm sorry. He messed up on one.
Okay,
So hold on. I can just give the
there's 2 here, but I'm not sure.
estimate. It's just a second. Sure it's right. Yeah, here, I'll just forward this to you. I'm sorry. Because he sent me, I can't do this.
Okay. Let's see.
He sent me 2 things. And then the one that he sent today, he sent 2 different ones of the same thing. So I think I sent you the 2. So his estimate for the pedestals with the supplies, the design and all that stuff, it's essentially $1,000
Per horse.
per horse to build those pedestals.
Wow.
Yeah, that's expensive.
That fall under our restoration or repair.
Yeah, I think that would fall
So.
under restoration. Repair. I mean,
Well, and the idea is that it's permanent, right? Like, we're not gonna need new ones in
that's the
4
idea.
years or something.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Because they're gonna stay inside.
and they will be movable. And all that. But yeah, it's expensive. I mean, the materials alone are $1,100 for 4 of them. Plywood is expensive. So that's the estimate that he sent for that. Did it come through to you?
Yeah, I'm just.
Well, it's probably a worthy expenditure at this point, because.
Well, I think that, yeah, that becomes the discussion.
Yeah.
Like, what do we want to invest in the Swedish horses?
Okay, so this is the one you just sent me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one. That's just for the pedestals. There's repair work that needs done too. That's
But repair work pedestals, you said it was
are separate. So that's just for the bases, just for the pedestals.
just the bases are 1,000 a piece?
5,000. And I mean, we can get other estimates, of course. Let me see.
I don't know if we can find another company.
Right.
I think before we say yes to anything, I think we need to know how much the cost is to repair the paint jobs and if we're gonna have the original artist repair the
Right.
paint on them. Cause I'd be curious what the cost is for the artist to redo what they did, right?
We did the coating on those too, didn't we?
Yeah.
So do they pay over the coating and then we redo the coating again, or how does that
Well, if these are inside, I don't know.
have to do the coating?
To discuss that. And
I think it'd be hard to organize the artist back again to,
he suggested that we reach out to the artist first because if we can.
what is the, I haven't seen them since they've been brought in, but like, what is the extent of the damage?
So the one in Christina's office has a big crack. And that one probably definitely, that one probably definitely needs fixed. The other ones have wear on the paint, like they've been scratched. There's damage on like the ears are chipped. So he said he could put resin in that, smooth it all out, then they repaint it. All those things. He said that's work he can also do if, but it might be more expensive than having the original artist. If we could reach out to the original artist to do it. I don't know. It looks like the full restoration of damage for all the horses is somewhere between like 4,800 and 5,500. If we do everything.
And then my other question would be just to think about, where do we envision these going now that they're not going to go outside? What would be the use?
Right.
When we have city facilities, we can easily put them in, but it won't match the map. The other option would be reaching out, like one barrel, I always thought, would they just put it in their window, but I don't know if that would be the case. And so what's the backup plan? We'll have to update the map too, once we figure this out, if we move forward with this.
I mean,
Feels like the 2.0 version of Swedish horse.
well, I mean, that always comes back to this maintenance question of what do we want to do? And then if we don't want to maintain these, how do we deaccession them?
I mean, I think there's probably like a use for them, like on a movable pedestal, especially if you want to keep them in the city, that's fine, or vacant buildings or anything where their actual like quality at this point could probably remain in the way that it is for a while, right? Because it's not going to be like on public display necessarily, and we can still showcase them, and from afar they look cool, but the cost to fully repair what are essentially just like fiberglass balloons.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the question I run into when I see the numbers, and I don't think that his pricing is unfair.
No, I don't think so either, especially considering some of the other stuff that we've seen.
It's just how much do you invest in
Yeah.
to kind of what we considered, I think, back in the day was temporary art.
Right, exactly.
It's lasts for ages.
Yeah, I guess that's my question. It's like, do we want to continue to invest in them or?
Then it's pasture.
Yeah, put them.
We're not putting them back in our pasture. We're saving them for you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, do we have a couple spots for them that we put them that is still meaningful to the artist and to the spirit of the, project, but that we don't. I mean, we would be spending more to restore them than we did to have them painted and installed and party and everything. So,
I mean, I will share, I really loved having them be mobile for our open house. And I thought they looked good enough to be in that event. Of course, I haven't seen them recently, but that was like really fun. And I could see having them out occasionally for city events, if you want to have like a cutesy thing, or Red Line, when they open, if they want to showcase some art, that might be another place, like, or if One Barrel wants to show one, like, I'm totally fine with them going out. It feels like paying for pedestals, and if we're gonna pay for pedestals, then it feels like we should fully fix them, or we should just say they're lenders from the city of come have some mobile art, and maybe that's their new purpose. I don't know. I'm just, sorry.
Like based on his description of the pedestals, they'd be up higher, people a lot less likely to sit on them and to mess with them. They definitely would present them in a different way. So if we did the restoration, they would last a lot longer. That's
Okay.
and especially if they were just inside, moving from place to place. It's not like it would like basically mitigate all the needed repairs for the future of those specific horses. It's quite expensive. The way they are now, they look fine. Like they don't look like they're presented, I guess. They're cool. But it definitely, when my 4-year-old was there, he's like, I want to ride.
I mean, I want to ride them.
Yeah.
Because they're very fun.
And it, I don't know. I guess it just comes down to the philosophy of maintenance. We have a budget for maintenance. We have money for maintenance. We just did major maintenance on all of our artwork here at Englewood, but within the last 5 years, we got that done. So what do we need to do for the future? What do we need to plan for the future? Maybe we need to look at all of the stuff that we need to do before we start making decisions.
And I guess too, like Christina and Tony, I'd love to hear your thoughts, because for you, for events, I'm like, are they something that would be useful for you if they're mobile, or are they, like if we don't have them put in a place permanently, if we talk about like mobile art, is that something that's useful? Or is that just something that's now cumbersome and the city has to deal with?
It's a logistical thing, I
Yeah.
think. Tony is gonna be moving into an office right across the way with Red Line. And so there's windows.
Yeah.
I mean, I could put the one in my office in my window. You can see it.
Huge.
Yeah.
So do we really want to fill the space with a horse? Let's just think about that.
Come on.
I'm worried like for events, the same issues that have happened to these horses with people
Will
riding
continue.
them and getting pictures of them.
Yeah.
They'll probably continue no matter what.
Even with a
phase.
pedestal.
Yeah, and then the concern with the pedestal is less likely to climb, but they will climb them. And
Now we have
it's-
falling
and now they're
safety.
even higher up,
Now we have
so-
kids falling.
I don't know, I like the horses, I think they're cool, but if we can find a place to display them, we have the lobby down here, we can just put them in there. It's less used now that the library's entrance is over here. There's spaces in the library, but I can look at some spots. The nook that has a window into the north lobby, we can put one in there. So I think let's do a little research. I'll do it on the city side of where can we put these? And then maybe come back next month and just say, here's a few other spots that maybe we don't have to do any restoration or pedestals and just display them.
Yeah.
So say the library feels like it has some space, like we would have some open shelves and then moving some stuff around, and maybe somewhere in the rec center in
Yeah.
a case
Yeah.
or high up. People can still enjoy them.
I mean,
Farm. The farm.
Behind a fence.
Yeah, exactly.
A friend for the cow. Yeah.
I think it's definitely worth thinking about, and I just got these today, so I sent an email to Debbie to print them, but I forgot to attach them. But maybe we should all think about that and revisit it next meeting.
and I think it is really helpful if we have ideas where the city would want, just what is feasible, because again, if it's mobile and then we're asking the city like, hey, Tony has a block party, let's haul those horses.
Yeah.
Again.
Of course, guys aren't one of us.
Yeah.
And I think it would be a good idea to go and look at what the condition of the other art pieces that we know are our responsibility, and see what kind of work might need done with those.
Yeah, we had talked about that, like a walking tour of
Yeah,
what's happening
which I
with the
can't
art
do
around
this month.
Englewood.
I can do this. Anyway, that's it. All right, upcoming events.
So, thank you all for helping with the music for last Saturday's event. It was a little soggy, but it was still a good event, I think, for our first market. So we had a pretty decent turnout, considering the weather. So our next one's July 1st, so very excited about that. And then tomorrow night is the volunteer appreciation event at Pirates Cove, rain or shine. If it's raining, we will figure it out, but
Bringing
The
the
the weather has not hit my 90-degree requirement to be at Pirates Cove.
there's still gonna be food. Still gonna be some gifts, and if it's too cold or not conditioned for swimming, I have talked with Chris, the manager at Pirates Cove, and we can do some passes or something, to make sure that everyone gets their appreciation swim in. But yeah, so 6 p.m. tomorrow night till 8. Like I said, I will be there, with food and goodies, so it's worth coming and seeing, checking us out. And then, yeah, just really kicking off the season. Next market, the first week of July is off the charts. We have a market on the 1st, and then we have, Cove has an adult night, I think, that week. We have the 4th of July that week. We have summer concerts that week. And I think there might even be a movie in the park. And so, yeah, it's full steam ahead. I'm super excited, working a lot with EDDA to reach out to local artists, whatever it might be, makers market, whatnot. So super excited about these different grants as well, because it kind of helps them put a little more, a little more stake in the game and get vested. So yeah, just having a ton of fun. I'm already working on 2024. So I have a calendar for 2024. Pretty excited. Christina's like, stop.
For June. No, but we're planning the year ahead.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But yeah, so super excited. Have the bands all sealed, solidified for the block, or for the Sunset concerts. We're gonna have a happy hour this year before each concert, so that's a new addition that I'm pretty excited about. And almost have all the bands for block party, so it's gonna be fun. And I hope to see you all at all of the events. No, maybe not all of the events. Thanks.
Staff's choice.
The only update I have is we keep getting a lot of requests coming in through the office. Face Logan, we have a request to possibly do some art on the bollards that are on the west end of the park there.
They did a GoFundMe for that.
Did they? How's it going?
Well, I donated $25. I think it was 150 out of $800.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Because they needed to donate half to make their grant amount, right?
Okay.
Like, it
Oh,
needs to be
yeah.
in kind, or in kind donations, but I didn't, yeah, so.
So Debbie's been
Share that.
working
Huh?
with
Can
me.
you share that?
Yeah.
Share it?
The GoFundMe, I didn't.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so they want a professional artist potentially to come in and do something that's gonna be probably more than the grant and the GoFundMe combined, but we'll see. That's a work in progress, nothing new on that. So we'll keep you updated as we get new stuff. Everything's kind of pending.
Isn't Bates Logan on the redo list too?
Oh, as far as renovations, yeah, so we're doing phase 1 reno this year for the shelter and the bathroom there. And then phase 2, we just did the show with the Bravo County Commissioners, the grant group
Yeah.
for phase 2 to do the inclusive playground and some pool upgrades there. So we won't know if we get that grant until the end of July, early August, but yeah, if that comes through, we'll have a
Maybe
cool park there.
Cool Park may be a game changer on what they want to do art wise, or would it not change like what they want to do if we do a renovation?
No, it wouldn't affect it. Like, as far as the park's concerned, those bollards aren't on our to-do list to do anything with because they're serving their purpose as is. So if the neighborhood wants to update them and make them colorful or do some art on them, it'll be up to them to do that. But we'll see more because how many bollards are there?
There's like almost 60.
Yeah, there's a ton.
A lot. Maybe every other one. I don't know. Maybe it's a phase thing. But it kind of depends. I mean, you could get kids out there and they just paint them all different colors, or you could get an artist that does something really neat. Thinking that ombre, just kind of one color, you could do the whole thing. Just fade it out. But so yeah, we're getting a lot of requests, and the first question is, do you already have funding? Do you need funding? Like, I think the Fourth Dimension wrap people, we didn't realize they needed funding, but all cool stuff that's coming through. So we'll probably encourage them when they have a plan in place and maybe a tentative drawing of whatever it is, come to you all. And at least present it and show, and if they need funding, then at that time we can say yay or nay, or we need to think about it, so. It's cool, I'm excited, I don't think we've had this many requests in a long time, so people are getting excited about arts again, and that's great.
Are there other funding sources that we should be thinking, like partnering with, or?
I know, the wayfinding placemaking had money to help with the mural on Felt. But yeah.
Possibly SCFD,
Oh, yeah.
we should look at the funding we get, I don't know if that can contribute, or if the Cultural Arts Commission. That's something we'll have to look at, make sure we're not stepping on each other's toes.
Yeah.
Because the Parks and Rec goes after, and I think last year or this year we got around 24,000, but that's to put on kids stage and some of the concerts and to help pay for things like that. But definitely an option to look at.
Yeah.
I'm wondering too, even outside of like city resources, are there other nonprofits or organizations that fund public art or cultural arts that we should be aware of? I'm
There's
just
someone
curious.
like Redline who's coming in, where do they get all their funding from to do these projects? And they might have some resources, so I think there's some opportunities just coming into our city right now that might be able to answer some of those questions as well.
We've struggled, I think, in Englewood a little bit with a lack of the nonprofit scene that would otherwise
Fill that in.
host a lot of these kinds of events, and yeah. So
keep your ears open.
Anybody want to start an arts nonprofit?
yeah, exactly.
In all your free time.
My free time.
Don't tempt me.
Like, you know, library for like friends of groups. Is there like a friend of the arts, friends of
I
cultural
don't think
arts?
we have a Friends of Englewood library, do we? Like little.
Or Beth is working on that. It's a work in progress. She just started the volunteer program. The plan is, but that's for the library. As far as arts is concerned, yeah, that could be an option too, is to do a friends group for the Englewood Arts or something like that. We could do other fundraisers.
I mean, I consider the library part of our cultural arts.
Yeah, for
piece,
sure.
So like them having a group is phenomenal because we want more.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. Probably won't have it. Okay, go ahead, Beth.
I just wanted to mention that the library just restarted our subscription to a website called Colorado Grants Guide. So that's a resource to research grants. It is available only for in-library use because we have a special login for it. But I think for like members of the commission, I'd be, willing to give you the login information to use at your leisure. But that might be a place if somebody wanted to research grant opportunities. That's a resource that's available for grants that are available throughout the state.
But then I'm assuming if we did do research, who do we have to write the grant? Because
Exactly.
we as the commission would not be able to. So
No.
then we'd have to figure out who would be willing to flip that for us.
I could help do that.
I'm just wanna.
Yeah, grant
So
writing.
that's something I can help for.
Not fun. No, for me.
Beth is volunteering.
Beth is-
Yeah, like I could help to do a grant since I don't think there would be a conflict for it. But I could certainly help write a grant if somebody was to find something that would be appropriate.
Okay,
I can too.
Yeah.
cool.
You're kind of busy, Tony.
I know. I can find someone. Maybe that's what I meant.
Just help coach us through it.
Julie Madden.
Oh, shit.
Great, yeah, because we've gotten several mural arts requests in the
Yeah.
last month. Just like we don't take that much
I
money.
mean, it's great.
I'd love to say yes to everything.
Yeah.
Any other staff's choice?
I actually do, the market grants. So I got an email a week ago. The deadline was May 31st. I got an email from communications. Very apologetic. They didn't get the email out to the artists. So I told them to remove the information on the June and July because that deadline was May 31st.
Yeah.
And bumped up the deadline or bumped back the deadline for the block party.
Yeah, I got that email. Block
Yeah,
party in the holiday.
That's when
Yeah.
it's as soon as I like told them what to do, they got it out.
It was a great email.
They felt. So, we've received one submission so far on the immersive art for the block party. And we've received one email right now for the market grant for the block party, and then also applying for the holiday market. But I think they'll start coming in.
Can we do a social media for the block party? I think we did that last year and it was pretty.
I thought I saw one today on there.
Oh,
It was going
really?
through our posts. I thought I did, but
See, and I thought,
I wish they would like let the
awesome,
event person know when they're doing that.
I'll verify.
yeah.
Okay.
It could have, I didn't.
They, I
I missed a lot.
communications is busy.
So good.
They
Oh, they did.
are,
9 hours ago, they posted calling all artists, the Englewood Cultural Arts Commission is still accepting submissions for immersive art exhibit. So it's posted.
Cool.
Awesome. They posted it today.
Sweet. Tell them thank you.
good. But, July, we at least will be looking at the market grant.
Yeah.
For the block party
And the immersion.
and the immersive art, yeah.
We have lots of other events if we wanted to throw art at some of them.
I think that's definitely a discussion for maybe if we feel like we still have wiggle room and we see others coming in, we could look at other places to.
Good events all year.
All right, Commissioner's choice. Thanks, everybody. Let's.
Wait, just quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
So sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
Just I want this group to be aware that the city has been having an ongoing conversation about what we want to do with the MOA space on the second floor. And there will be an upcoming study session, because what we're considering is using some of it for some staff office space that we need, but using another portion of it for the Historic Preservation Commission or Society.
Society.
Society, thank you. For some Englewood like history museum space, and then also some space for Englewood Arts for some of their teaching and music lesson space. So those contracts will come to city council. There's questions at the last meeting, so we're gonna have a study session on it. But I just wanted you all to be aware that that is one thing that we're considering doing, and basically in exchange that we would provide the space and help them get it to where it needs to be for minimal cost. And they would then provide services to the community. So that study session will be happening, I believe we are slating it for June or maybe July 17th. But to the extent that you're interested in that, I want to let you know.
Any thoughts on maybe doing a little bit of a maker space in that back room that's like an already set up for baking and crafting and making?
That I don't think has come up in the conversation.
It's right now designated as Historic Society space. They have a lot of history items in the library.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to get those out of the library, and that'll all.
It was just such a cool like making and clay room and all that stuff back there, but that's fine.
Oh, someday to have like a library and a fine art space and
I
a,
know.
I know.
All the magic.
Small.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. We're gonna build that city
Cultural
right
arts
here.
center.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're kind of already here.
Yeah.
They want to find. Yeah.
But if you want to follow that, or if you actually want to weigh in or share any thoughts that you have, either through public comment or through emailing city council members, that's something that we're currently considering if that's the best use of the space. So.
Okay. Thanks. Cool.
That's it.
Thank you. Thanks.
Anybody else? All right, let's adjourn, 7:19.
Cool.
Hey, Tony.
Stacy.
Hi, Stacy.
Perfect, thank you.
Hey, Tony.